This is a scavenger hunt that you can complete with each of the letters that we talk about every week. Now for the letter K, I walked around my house with a bag and I gathered every item that I could find that began with the letter K from room to room. This is what I found in my house. I found some kitten kibble, a king on a playing card, and I found khaki pants. Now, once you've gathered all your items that begin with the specific letter you're working on, you'll want to come back together and go over every item. You'll want to write down the item's name on a post-it note or on a scrap piece of paper, like so. You can then go over it with your child that kibble starts with K and K says K. You'll do that for each of the items until all your items are done, and then you'll put them away. Now these are the letters that we have learned so far this year. B, T, N, E, S, A, P, M, L, R, C, F, and D. You can complete a scavenger hunt as a family for each of those letters and continue to do so as we learn more letters. One of my favorite ways to teach children how to count and how to make a certain number is through the use of 10 frames. Now, you can print out a 10 frame from your computer. You can click on a link below that has an example of a 10 frame, or you can make one yourself. All I did here was use a ruler to make 10 squares, each 2 by 2. They can be any size, and you'll see here I wrote make and then put a line. Once you have your 10 frame made, you'll want to place it on a flat surface like a table or the floor. You'll then need to gather some materials that are small enough to fit in your blocks that you've drawn. These could include some snack peas, rocks, or paper clips, whatever you have around the house. Next, you'll need to make some kind of paper that you can place on the line to show how many you want your child to count. So this one says make 7. So then I would use the materials to make 7 in my blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then have your child row count them out to you and identify that they are 7. Now, if you want to go higher than 10, all you'll need to do is add more rows of blocks below your second row. Another variation of the 10 frame you can make would be using a cardboard egg carton like this one. What you would want to do is you would want to use your scissors and cut off 2 of the little egg holders. But make sure you keep this because you never know what kind of project you can do with these. So that the inside of your egg carton, you have 10 little slots to place things. Just as the 10 frame paper, you would place one object in each of the holes. So if I said to count out 7, you would place 7 paper clips and then practice counting them. You can do this for all the numbers. Yesterday, for our sensory activity, we made some salt dough, dinosaur bones, and fossils. If you missed yesterday's activity, please go back and rewatch the video to get the recipe to be able to make the things that are needed for today's activity, which is another sensory activity going to be called the Dinosaur Dig. So we've talked about paleontologists being scientists who help dig up dinosaur bones and fossils from the earth. So the supplies you'll need for this can include our dinosaur bones that we made that are now cooked and hard. You can also use a container. You can use a bowl or a shoebox container like I have. Inside, you're going to either put sand or dirt or anything you can think of. In mine, I went out and took some dirt from a flower pot on my porch. You'll also want things like a spoon, maybe a paintbrush. I only have a foam paintbrush at home. You can also use things like a colander, and of course you want to make sure that you do this activity outside or over top of a tablecloth that can easily be cleaned, or a towel. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our dinosaur bones and I'm going to bury them in the dirt. Now you can do this for your child or have your child do it themselves. Make sure you make it so that some of them are easier to find and some of them are harder to find. And of course your hands are going to get a little bit messy, so make sure that you wash them after you play in the dirt. So once your bones are hidden, your child can use their hands, they can use a spoon, and start to dig up the dinosaur bone. So here, I found a dinosaur bone, and what paleontologists do that we've learned about is they will dig up the bone, and they use a special brush to brush off all the dirt to get it clean. You can even dip your paintbrush into a bowl of water to really get these bones clean. Now this activity can be reused again and again, so once they find all the dinosaur bones, you can re-hide them and have them find it some more. Another thing you can do is have your child just scoop the dirt and place it into a colander and have them shake it, and you'll see the dirt starts coming out, and hopefully what you'll have left will just be a dinosaur bone or fossil. I'm sure that many of you already have many puzzles in your house that have to do with counting and numerals. That being said, it's still important to generalize the ability to match numbers and their correspondence to other materials. So if your child has mastered your number puzzles, you'll definitely want to try this activity at home. That way they're able to provide and show their skills across multiple types of activities. So what you'll need for this activity are some scrap pieces of paper. This could be anything from notebook paper, post-it notes, index cards, junk mail that has availability for you to write on it, anything at all, and a pen or a marker. Now what you're going to do is use your pen or marker to write on your pieces of paper. I'm using post-it notes today. Numbers. Now these numbers could be any number that you can think of. We have started and have gotten up to number 14 in school this year, so maybe don't go too crazy. But for today, I'm going to show you numbers 1 through 3. So I wrote number 1, 2, and 3. And you'll notice that when I've put them on this piece of paper to present to a child, I've put them out of order. And I do that on purpose because when we learn to count in order. So to be sure that a child truly understands numerical concepts, we need to go out of order. That's why it's 1, 3, 2. So when we're working on matching just one-to-one number, we're going to make a second set of post-its or pieces of paper that have the same numbers on it. So this one says 1 and this one says 2. What you're going to do is have your child match by placing the same number on top of each other. So number 1, I'm going to place on top of number 1. This way they show that they understand that they are the same. I'll do the same thing with number 2. Place it on top of number 2. Now this is an example of an inset puzzle that you might have where you place a number on top of the exact number. Now, moving on to number correspondence, you're going to still use your sets of numbers. Mine again are 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to make corresponding cards to go with each of those numerals. So I used a very simple picture that I can draw easily and clearly, and it also happens to be our shape this month that we're reviewing, a star. So on this one I have 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars. So instead of having the numerals up there, actually, we're going to put the stars up so that your child will have to count how many stars. So when presenting, present one set of objects and you're going to say how many. Now this will help to prompt your child to then count the stars. You may need to help your child by hand over hand prompting them to point to each star. You may also need to be their voice and count out loud for them. 1, 2. Then you'll hold up the numbers. It could be you holding up just one number or holding up anywhere from 1 to 6 numbers for them to be able to find the number 2. So they've counted 1, 2. Then we say, find 2, and we want to help your child be able to find the number 2. This might mean you pointing to 2 when you say take 2, or you could hold it out and say find 2 as you push 2 forward to give them a visual prompt on what number 2 is. You'll then have your child place the number next to the number of objects so that they understand that they correlate. All right, so we'll repeat that for the next one. So I'll present the next card, and let's count how many. 1. Hold up my cards and I'll say, take 1. Then the child will take 1 and you'll prompt for them to put it here. Now your child may be able to complete this type of task on their own, and you might be able to present all 3 of the object pictures at once and then have them match. That's great, but be sure to help your child as much or as little as they need. Remember that exposure and experience is what counts when it comes to academic tasks like this. The more that you do it, the better you get at it. So keep trying and keep modeling how to do these types of activities with your child, and eventually they will pick up on them.